So Federico and I are super excited about this session and how to help you with the migrations journey. Both of us are members of the product team here at Snowflake. We are all focused on migrations tooling and how to help our customers and our partners accelerate their journey to Snowflake, migrating the data from legacy systems and the ecosystems around it into Snowflake and unlock the value that the Snowflake platform will bring to you all. So before we get started, one of the things, so the key question is why migrate from legacy architecture? So there are many reasons. A couple of them just to highlight are you always have to provision for the peak workloads, and sometimes you have to plan a year, 2 years, multiple years ahead of time, and if you have not planned for a particular requirement that comes out of the blue, like in AI, engineering, data flow, that you need to run through your system, then you're stuck. You cannot innovate fast enough, or you have to make significant, painful trade-offs, and you need to avoid that, right? So that's number one. The second is you do not have all the AI and data capabilities that a modern AI data cloud like Snowflake would bring to your business, right? So all the value that you would get from all your enterprise data, whether it's unstructured, structured data, and whatever kind of workload you need to run, data engineering, data analytics, AI, ML, all kinds of workloads. So these kinds of capabilities are non-existent in many of the legacy architectures. And then because of the various data silos in your organization, it's hard to govern and secure all of them in a uniform way with a single pane of glass. So at least some of the pain points there. With the modern AI data cloud, Snowflake AI data cloud, you get all of these constraints out of your way. You can infinitely scale on demand whenever you need it, or you can turn it down when you're not running any workloads. So that kind of capability is magical, right? Second, you can run all kinds of workloads. Again, like I said, structured, unstructured data with the OpenFlow announcement that you saw yesterday. You can bring in all kinds of unstructured data from your enterprise into the Snowflake platform and leverage all of the capabilities, data engineering, analytics, on top of that with AI and ML built into the Snowflake platform. You can derive a lot of value from all your enterprise data, right? And again, it's one single pane of glass. You can manage, govern, and secure all the data with the proper policies that your business requires. Many, many customers trust us and leverage the Snowflake AI data cloud. These are just a few of the examples. Pfizer, for instance, unifies all of their data from various business lines into the Snowflake platform and manages it and derives a lot of value from it. And in the process, they reduce their total cost of ownership by 57%, right? So that's the ease with which they can manage all their data and derive value from it. Second, IQVIA is another example. They migrated all their data pipelines, Spark data pipelines, into Snowflake. They did it in a couple of weeks and made this 2x faster, just to give a few of these examples.
Yes, and not only many customers trust Snowflake with their workloads, but we've also helped many other customers to actually migrate to Snowflake. Actually, over 1,400 of them up until now. And I can tell you a few stories, like Globe Telecommunications, that they were able to migrate to Snowflake in just 53 days, being able to turn off their legacy platforms in just 53 days. This is, a great success case study, right? Of course, mileage may vary, right? Let me say that. But I mean, we have very successful use cases, just like AT&T, that when they migrated to Snowflake, they lowered their cost of ownership by 84%. So these are great reasons on why to migrate to Snowflake. And in addition to great customers, we also have a very robust partner ecosystem that can help you in the migration process. So we have we recommend always a combination of maybe some help from Snowflake itself through professional services, your SI of choice, and then of course your involvement or the customer involvement in a migration project. But any combination of those three, are a good way of approaching migrations. But what are migrations? So now that we know why we should be moving to Snowflake, then the next question is how. And this how is really something that is important to, to split and talk about the different aspects of a migration. You have the first one, which is always planning and design, right? And they always say that an ounce of planning can save, years of issues down the road. This is very true for a migration project. You need to scope the migration upfront. You also need to make sure that all of the stakeholders are part of the decision process and that everybody is aligned on where to go. From the top of the organization all the way down to the people that will actually test it and the users. We have seen many times that central IT plans a migration, but then the users are left out, and then at the end, when they are doing the testing, they see some small differences in the numbers or in the details, and then suddenly the whole migration is not working. Users have to be part of the decision process, the planning process, and of course, they should be trained well ahead of when we do the cutover for the migration. As part of a migration process, we also have the environment's security set up. This is an opportunity for you to rethink your governance model. And in a lot of the legacy platforms, especially the more legacy ones, they did not have like role-based authentication or anything like that. So when you're moving to a modern platform like Snowflake, you should rethink your governance model, and this is an opportunity to actually define it correctly for the needs of the business today. Then you have the database code conversion. We're talking about all of the DDLs, tables, views, procedures, functions. All of that has to be migrated, and we'll be showing you a demo on how we can help you accelerate that later on. Then, of course, there is the data migration. Data migration is typically two parts. You have historical data migration, especially if you want to turn off the original platform or the legacy platform. You have to do all of the historic data migration, but then you also have to keep it in sync with the new pipelines and everything else, right? So that is the next step, which is data ingestion. Don't think just about the database. You also have to think about all of the data that's coming in and how users are actually consuming that data downstream. So data ingestion is part of the scope of a migration, and you should look at all of your ETLs, all of your data sources, and make sure that you, again, scope them out at the beginning. And we've seen it many times that sometimes there are surprises. Oh, I forgot about this other data source. And then the whole migration project gets delayed unnecessarily because it was not planned up front. Then again, reporting and analytics is another thing that you should look at. I mean, you have Tableau, you have Power BI. I mean, what are you going to do with those reports that you have to actually repoint? But not only that, remember that users potentially have their own custom queries. So again, as part of the migration process, you should make sure that your users know how to deal with their custom queries that now they have to connect to Snowflake instead of whatever legacy platform they had before. And then, of course, deployment. And then we have this other phase that we call it optimize and run, which is really to say that the migration is just the beginning of the journey into a modern platform, right? You migrate, but then once all of your data is on one platform, then is when the magic really happens. And when you can really leverage all of the features of Snowflake to do what you were doing before, but hopefully to do much more than what you were doing before. You are enabling lots of new use cases that were just impossible on the legacy platform. So this is where we want to take you and accelerate that journey for you. So now we're going to, Venki, what can you tell us about how artificial intelligence can help in this process?
Sure, for sure. So SnowConvert AI is the one which has all the AI capabilities that Federico wished that he had when he was going through dozens of migrations, and which caused him all this stress-induced changes in the appearance. So
this gray hair is for something, yes.
So yeah, and let me talk to you about what SnowConvert AI brings to you. Right? There are three things that I would like you to take away from this. One is we are here for you to help you with the end-to-end migration journey. Assessments, code conversion, like Federico talked about, data validation, and migration. Right? Each one of these phases takes a significant amount of time, and assessments, like Federico mentioned, is the key to the first step there. The second one I would like you to take away from that is data migration is not done just from the database to the Snowflake. It's the entire ecosystem around it. The ETL pipelines, the reporting tools, the client analytic applications that are reading from that legacy sources all have to either repoint or migrate and modernize into the Snowflake ecosystem. We are here to help you with that, right? The third one is underneath the hood, where applicable, we're actually leveraging AI transparently in most cases so that you get the benefits and the acceleration, the reduction in effort that you would like to see in your migrations journeys.
And let me tell you about SnowConvert AI in more detail. This is what we are really launching at this conference. And before SnowConvert AI, we had, let's say, classic SnowConvert. And classic SnowConvert was focused on migrating the DDL of a data warehouse. Again, tables, views, procedures, functions. And the approach that we were taking was a standard transpilation approach. So we were parsing the DDL code. We were building abstract syntax trees, symbol tables in memory to make sure that we were able to migrate the code as good as possible into Snowflake. And we also put a lot of emphasis not only in migrating with the code that can be migrated, but also in marking the code that has issues during the migration when we approach it using a transpiler. And so the SnowConvert code, the output of the SnowConvert code contains messages that are directed to the migration engineer so that they know where to go and look at potential issues and actually fix them when they're approaching the last mile of the migration effort for the DDL. And with SnowConvert, we were already achieving very high percentages of code conversions, of correct code conversions, and it has been tested over 2 billion lines of code, 46 million database objects that have been converted over several years that this has been in place. And today, we're really going to start talking about SnowConvert AI and how artificial intelligence can help us close the gap and get as close as possible to the 100% of automatic conversion. One of the first tools that we want to show you today is what we call the Artificial Intelligence-Powered Migration Assistant. This is a new feature that we incorporated in the Visual Studio extension by Snowflake. I don't know how many of you have used the Visual Studio extension or use, okay? So now there is a new feature that you can just enable. You go to settings and you can enable it. And that new feature will actually allow you to look at the code generated by SnowConvert, and actually, it can provide help on how to fix these errors that I was telling you about, or these issues that SnowConvert left in the code. So there, you go into Visual Studio, you can see the list of issues that SnowConvert left, and you can actually get help from the AI, get an explanation of why they issue, get a suggestion on what should be the right code, and then you can decide if you accept it or not, and just include it, and again, continue with your migration process. This is available today. You can just download the Visual Studio extension, and it's going to be in there. And then we also are doing much more than that.
Yeah. That's the first step, right? That's the interactive use of AI to fix issues that SnowConvert could not handle in the beginning stage. You can also have a batch verification or batch conversion with AI soon in SnowConvert AI. That will be out very soon, and Federico will tell us, right? So then you converted your code from the source system into Snowflake. The main issue is it correct? Is it semantically the same? How do we verify that? The typical approach would be to generate some data, either a staging scenario or a development environment, and create the data, write some tests, and make sure that the behavior is the same. Now, this takes a huge amount of effort, especially if you're into thousands of objects, right? So now this is where we bring the AI into action again and say, can we take the source object, store procedure, or a view. We also look at the corresponding Snowflake equivalent, generate the synthetic data, generate tests using AI, and compare the two semantically. Are these the same or not? So for a majority of them, it'll be fine. If there are issues, we'll ask the AI to go back and fix the target Snowflake object so that we actually fix the repair, get the repaired conversion, and then give you the confidence that the converted code is actually correct in most cases, right? So that's a significant advantage. And one of the key benefits of this, without this kind of a verification at this stage, typically what happens, these are pushed down into the UAT, and the users, your clients, your business users discover these issues, and then that takes 10x the amount of time to go back and fix and redo the migration, redo the validation, all of those things. So that's a significant acceleration with AI, right, available through SnowConvert AI, right? And we already talked about the end-to-end process. So the next step after converting the code is deploying the code on Snowflake and then migrating the data. We help you with the data migrations as well in easily, right? After the migrations is where, again, another significant time-consuming step is done. There's a source table, there's a target table in Snowflake. Now, are these equivalent? Are they semantically the same? In the migrations journey, we decided we needed to change some data type. We needed to make some simple transformations. Is the precision of the source system is the same as the precision at this Snowflake target table? All of these issues are something that we need to verify when you migrate the data, both historic migration as well as the incremental migration. And this is where the SnowConvert AI will help you with the validation. It's flexible enough to take into account all of these changes through the migrations process, the code conversion, and give you the configuration so that you can validate them out of the box, right?
Yes, and now it's time to actually show you SnowConvert live.
This is the best part of it.
Yeah, it's the best part of it. And
enough talk.
Yes, so first of all, SnowConvert AI, I'll show you how to get access to it in a couple of minutes, but SnowConvert AI is a tool that you have to download and install on your local machine, okay? So this is an on-prem tool that is actually that it will help you do this type of work. So let's start, let's create a new project. We can create, I'm creating a new project called Northwind, and if you've used SQL Server, Northwind is a typical example from Microsoft. So you see all of the platforms that we support. Today, I'm going to pick SQL Server for this example. And you also need an access code. And how do you get an access code if you don't have one? It's very simple. You just come here, you request one, you get it immediately via email, and then you can just input it into this step here. I already have one installed here, so let me continue. I have two ways of connecting to the database, or I have two ways of getting the code that I need to convert. One of them is connecting directly into SQL Server and extract the DDL directly from the database catalog, versus if I already have the code extracted, or if I have a Git repository where I keep a copy of the DDL that I want to convert, I can just point to the directory where that code is stored. But today we're going to do an end-to-end demo, and we're actually going to connect directly to SQL Server. So we're connecting to SQL Server, and we also have to provide like a working directory. And so here I'm going to just put it here, and now connect to the database. So here again, SnowConvert is connecting to SQL Server directly, and again we support multiple authentication methods, and we can support both SQL Server on-prem or in the cloud. And you can see here that it extracted the catalog directly from the list of the objects that are in the database. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and extract all of the objects in the database. Why is this important? Because, again, remember that the core conversion engine provided by SnowConvert is actually a compiler. So it requires all of the dependencies, all of the object dependencies. So if you have a procedure, but you don't have the table definitions or the view definitions, then SnowConvert does not do the best possible job. You need to convert all of the code that is referenced all together. So here I just have some extraction results. again, all of the objects that were extracted from the database. And then I can go to the next phase. A typical request that we have gotten from our customers is that when they are modernizing their data platform, they also want to apply their new naming conventions. So SnowConvert allows you to do that as well. So you can go here and just go into any object and actually change the name if you want, the target name. You can see here, you have a source and you have a target name. You can also apply some bulk mapping in case you want to add a prefix or a suffix to a group of objects. Today, we're just going to leave it as is, and I'm going to start the conversion. So what is happening here is that we are actually getting the SnowConvert transpiler executing, and again, it's validating the scope, it's loading the source code, it's converting the source code, and eventually outputting the results. Again, this is the first step, which is the deterministic way of converting code, again, using a compiler, which is then going to be aided by artificial intelligence to close the gap of the things that we were not able to do using just a compiler. So now we can go and look at the results, and actually SnowConvert generates a lot of information for you that can also be used to plan a migration project. And actually later on we'll have some links to resources on how to utilize the information generated by SnowConvert to do some planning in your process. I just want to focus on a couple of numbers here. This is the code completeness score. This is what I was telling you about before. In this case, I've extracted the whole database, so the code is 100% complete. Sometimes, again, I may have missing references. And if I have missing references, you can expect issues in the converted code or more issues in the converted code just because SnowConvert was not able to invent some data types or other things. Another thing that I want to point out here is that you have a list of all of the objects that were converted. So you see, we converted 1 database, 7 procedures, 1 schema, 13 tables, 16 views. And you can see that a lot of them were converted at 100%, but the procedures had some issues. So let me just explain these two numbers because, if you're going to start using SnowConvert, this is important. We look at the lines of code conversion rate is when we look at all of the lines of code that we converted for this particular object type and how many of them were converted without issues versus the ones that were converted with issues. This other number here is how many complete procedures were converted without issues versus procedures that actually had issues. So you can see in this case that 5 of the 7 procedures were converted at 100% and 2 of them have issues, okay? This is just to give you an idea of what SnowConvert initially did. And you can also see a lot of the reports here. Again, there are many more reports that are generated, like this issues report is something where SnowConvert takes all of the issues that it encountered during the migration and puts them in a spreadsheet so that you can go and actually understand how many of them you will find and how to utilize your team to fix them. You have the missing object references, which is in this case is empty, and a lot of additional information. I encourage you to explore this whenever you can. Once you have done as much deterministic conversion as possible, we are going into the next step that Venki was describing before, which is what we call the artificial intelligence verification. And let me just start this process while I explain what it is happening. Oh, okay. Apologize, but I need to copy my username and password because this phase actually connects to Snowflake. And apologize for showing my password. I'll change it right after this demo. But if you can remember this password, kudos for you. Okay, so now I'm connecting to Snowflake. And let me just start the process, and then I'll explain. So what are we doing here? So again, we converted the code, and SnowConvert said that it was at 100% for most of the objects, right? But is that really true or not? Okay, so we are now verifying the code. So what we are doing here is that we are generating test cases, both for SQL Server and for Snowflake. We are generating synthetic data for the objects that are referenced by those test cases, and then we're running the test cases, and we're comparing the results, okay? And let me just show you one of them here. and you will see something like this. We're comparing the results, and then if the results do not match, then the artificial intelligence is going to try to fix the code and run it again, validate the test case again, and if it matches, then it's okay. If not, it's going to tell you, no, please go and take a look manually, to fix it. And this is the type of results that you can see. So you can see a comment of what actually happened. You can see the results executed in SQL Server in this case. What were the results if SnowConvert, if the test case was run just on the original output from SnowConvert, and then the result that was generated once the artificial intelligence fixed the code. And so one of the questions is, what model are you using? Right now, we are actually connecting to the Snowflake account, and we're using a Cortex complete function. And you will be able to pick which model you want to utilize. And of course, typically the larger models, provide better responses, but you can pick the model that you want. And let me show exactly what happened here, just to see, so that you can see how subtle some of these problems can be. I have these files, you have the source, the converted and fixed. I have them all opened up here in Visual Studio so that I can explain them to you. So here I have this very simple procedure. It's a create procedure, and one of the parameters is actually a fixed length character. Okay, and so there is a where clause, and I'm just comparing two strings. Okay, so SnowConvert converted it to essentially the same. These two strings that are compared in the where clause. However, Snowflake does not have fixed length characters, right? And so what happens if I have a string with 3 characters? In SQL Server, the 3 characters would be padded with 2 white spaces. In SnowConvert, you would just have 3 characters. And so when you compare them, they're not the same. And so that is a problem. And finding this type of problems, is very hard, and it doesn't happen until you're doing final user acceptance testing. So the artificial intelligence actually helped us here. And if you see what it did, is that it actually added the RPad. So now the 2 strings are really the same when I'm comparing them, okay? And believe me, a bug like this, can grow a lot of white hair, in a large migration.
In fact, at a big bank that we are doing a migration, this is one of the issues. Probably took us 2 months to actually diagnose and say this is the issue and verify and fix, and redo the verification.
Yeah. So let's say that now I've fixed all of my mistakes, and now the next step is to actually go and deploy the objects in Snowflake. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to deploy all of my tables. And what it is doing here is actually it's deploying again not only the tables, it's deploying the database, the schema, and the tables in Snowflake. It gives me a quick report, and then once I've migrated my tables, the next step is let's do some historic data migration. And I can show you here, like I have the database Northwind, that I just migrated, and so let me just do a quick select on one of the tables. Yeah, you see there are no results, and then I now go and migrate the data. I also have to select which tables I want to migrate, and again I'm going to just migrate all of my tables this time.
So while the migration is happening, it seems easy, but the convenience of connecting to the database, extracting the code, doing it all in one shot, avoids a lot of errors, the code completeness errors that Federico mentioned, this kind of connection and deploying this automatically. This hugely makes the whole process a lot more efficient.
Yes. So what's happening here is that, again, I'm migrating the data and all of that. We've had customers, like just last week, one of our customers migrated a small SQL Server database. They had 130 tables, 75 gigabytes, and they just did that in essentially in a day, end to end, okay? Because they were able to use to leverage a tool like this. Of course, if you have 2 petabytes, this might not be the right approach, but for databases of a certain, more than databases, tables up to the typical 50 gigabytes or something like that, this is a very good approach, that you can do quickly and then start using Snowflake as much as possible.
Yeah, just to double click, it's just, Federico is only talking about the migration part. The
Yes.
rest of the things are all still very useful at whatever scale you want. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've done migrations of 100,000 objects all at once using SnowConvert. So this is completely scalable. I was just talking about the data migrations. Thank you, Venki. And now again, I can go back to my Snow site, and now I can rerun my query, and now you can see that the table already has the rows that we wanted to do here. Okay, so this is the initial demo that I have for you, and now let's go back to the slides, and I want to tell you about how do you get access to the tools that we presented today. And we actually, in Snow site, we built what we call the migration hub. So if you could just go to Snow site inside Snowflake, you can find the migration section on the left tab, and we have put all of the migration resources, there in the migration hub. You can access SnowConvert, you can access training on SnowConvert, and then there are links to many more resources. We are also displaying here one of our sister tools to SnowConvert, which is the Snowpark Migration Accelerator, that actually can help you migrate your Spark workloads written in Scala or Python to Snowflake. So again, it's another tool that is available there. And our commitment is to keep adding more and more functionality to the Migration Hub so that you can access it and you can accelerate your projects moving forward. The next thing that we want to do is to talk to you about the ecosystem migrations. We have talked so far about essentially the database and how to migrate the database and verify it using artificial intelligence. But as we said at the beginning, there's more than the database in a migration project.
Yeah, so it's the ecosystem, right? It's just the database and the ecosystem around it. So for instance, in the SQL Server case, there is an SSIS pipeline, some other pipelines that are running and publishing data into the SQL Server instance, and there are Power BI tools that are actually leveraging the data from SQL Server. So our SnowConvert AI will actually help take that SSIS pipelines and either repoint it to Snowflake or replatform to dbt, right? That kind of help is there in SnowConvert AI. And again, this will make it easy with verification where possible with the help of AI. And next, Power BI similarly. So you have a Power BI dashboard. It's working off of SQL Server. After the migration, you can run SnowConvert AI on the PBIT files, and you will now repoint it to Snowflake.
And we actually wanted to show you a quick demo of the Power BI migration. And for this one, I actually just have a video. This is new functionality and that I just wanted to show you. So this is just a Power BI, typical Power BI project, and you can see that there are connections that need to be migrated because, originally it was connecting to SQL Server to extract the information, but there is also SQL code that is embedded inside a Power BI report, and all of those things actually need to be migrated. And so how are we going to migrate them? In reality, we're going to use the same SnowConvert. So you can extract objects directly from the database, but you can also give it additional objects like Power BI reports as an input. And again, migrating them together with the data model that you're migrating, right? Because the Power BI reports also require access to the original data model. And so you can use SnowConvert, in this case, this code that was there, you select it, you migrate it, it will extract all of the embedded SQL from the Power BI, and then it will migrate it, and essentially it will work. This is what the video is going to show. So again, this is just to give you an idea that we are concentrating a lot of functionality inside SnowConvert to help you with the migration of all of these platforms. You can see that the process is very similar to what I showed you before, and this is exactly what's going to happen.
Makes it a lot easier again. So it's all on making your migration journey to Snowflake as efficient as it's possible for us to help you through that process and help you unlock the value of Snowflake from all your data using Snowflake capabilities.
Let's go back to the presentation. And let's talk about some quotes from some of our users that actually have used this technology to accelerate their process. And CarMax is one of them. And again, some of my gray hair comes from the CarMax project. But at the end, it was very successful, and they're super happy with the results that they've gotten. And of course, they're super happy of the fact that now they can really exploit the functionality of Snowflake in their business, as well as some of our partners like PH Data, who has used this technology to accelerate projects that they've executed for our common customers. And so these are just a couple of examples of the things that we have done together with our customers and our partners.